Try to discover a little something to make me sweeter. Oh, baby, refrain from breaking my heart. I'm so in love with you. I'll be forever.
So next time you see me, I will kill you.
They call us gorillas, we brawling you in coffins with killers. You at the auction, I'm bossing, smoking cigars at the dealers.
Hey,
Nigga, I'm
hold
killing
on.
a pound skrilla like.
Yeah, I didn't know this was a. Oof. Okay. Oh, this thing, it just tends to turn on by itself. Hold on. Let me go ahead and turn this on. Okay, and let's see here. All right. Okay, it's about straight. Okay, yeah. Since it's on, and I was about to have myself a Bud Light. Okay, a Strawberryta. Okay. I may as well go ahead and do a review of a couple movies I saw last night. Okay. So yeah. Oh man, my hand's wet now, but that's okay. Let me. Oh, there we go. Then. Okay. So, two films that I saw last night were these two right here, Beetlejuice and the Stendhal Syndrome. So I started off with Beetlejuice, and with Stendhal Syndrome, about an hour and 18 minutes into the film, I got sleepy. Not because the movie was boring. I just, my eyes were getting heavy, so I fell asleep. So I just stopped it and slept for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and then went back and finished the other 40 minutes of it. And, this was last night. Okay, so Beetlejuice. I will start off by reading the back. Okay. What's a ghost couple? Well, what's a ghost couple to do? Which, Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin. What's a ghost couple to do when their home is overrun by trendy New Yorkers? Hire Beetlejuice, played by Michael Keaton, to spook the intruders, of course. Directed by Tim Burton and starring Winona Ryder, who was young, by the way, Catherine O'Hare, Jeffrey Jones, and Sylvia Sidney. Now, Jeffrey Jones, I believe, is the guy who played Criswell in Ed Wood. Love that movie. He's like a Tim Burton regular. He was also in Howard the Duck. He was the bad guy in that one. If that in fact is him. Along with wondrous production design, Harry Belafonte, okay, soundtrack tunes to Oscar-winning makeup. Okay, so with Beetlejuice, it starts off with Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin. For some reason, I can't freaking remember their names. I can't believe it. Well, we'll just come by Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin, he likes making these models of the town. Always going to the supply shop. So he ran out of supply, so he and Gina Davis, they're preparing to go on vacation, but before they go, he wants to put the finishing touches on that model. So they take their car, go across the bridge, get the parts they need, and then when they come back, there's a dog that gets in the way, and Alec Baldwin, he swerves to avoid hitting the dog, and it goes over through the bridge. It's like a tunnel bridge, through the wood, the wall, and it kind of overturns and flips into the water. The water was not that deep. It was somewhat shallow. Next thing you know, they make it back to the house. It cuts to the house, and it's dark. The house seems kind of weird. The fireplace turns on, and then they're wondering how they got back and all this. Now here's the thing. How did they die from that? It was, like I said, it wasn't that deep. How can you die? Because I've seen Rambo, Commando, I've seen Sarah Connor, I've seen Die Hard go through worse than that. So, to be flipped over like that, but I guess that's the story has to get kicked off somehow. So apparently, they died from that. And then Gina Davis steps in front of the mirror and notices when she takes this horse figurine and pulls it, brings it across the mirror, she cannot see her reflection. So she tells Alec Baldwin, her husband, and he looks and sees it, and then he sees the horse go across, but then they cannot see themselves. Alec Baldwin's wondering, what's going on. Next thing you know, Alec Baldwin, he tries to step out of the house. Before you know it, he's in this like desert area, and then there's this giant worm creature known as sandworms, tries to attack him, and I believe it was, well, somehow he makes it back into the house, and apparently he's been gone for hours, and Gina Davis is wondering where he's been. He said hours. It was just like seconds I was gone, and that equivals, hours, I guess. Let's see here. So they go upstairs, they're exploring the house. Next thing you know, this new family moves in, and it turns out they're called the Dietz. I think they were called the Dietz. Yeah, which is, Winona Ryder's the daughter. And then, like it says here, Jeffrey Jones and Sylvia Sidney. No, not Jeffrey Jones and Catherine O'Hara. They're the married couple. And I don't know who Sylvia Sidney is. That might have been the friend who was trying to push Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis to sell the house. They move in, and Alec Baldwin and Gina, they're not happy with this new couple. They'd rather have someone move in that's more similar to what they are. Gina Davis, it's funny, she says, she's kind of like those gothic girls, kind of like one of those kind of girls, all dressed in black with a black veil. And he says, well, honey, Lydia, how do I forget Lydia? Lydia, the dad goes, Lydia, so how do you like it here? She looks around and she says, she doesn't like it. And she sees a cobwebs and a spider on there. I could live here. Okay. And then, so they're kind of walking around outside, and Gina and Alec are upstairs, up in the attic, which is locked, so no one can get in. Can only be opened by the skeleton key, which Sylvia Sidney, which I hope I'm getting these names, I hope I'm identifying these people correctly, but Sylvia Sidney, I guess, the realtor, gives them the skeleton key, like later on before she leaves. But they're looking at the window. This is when they realize too, they're reading through this handbook called Book for the Recently Deceased. Like the living can't see you. There's all these rules, which reads like a stereo instructions. And they're looking out the window. And then when Lydia is taking pictures, and she sees them up in the window, and then she looks, they call, Lydia, they call her, and then she looks away, talks to her mom, and when she looks back, they're gone, but they're still there. So it must have like changed their perception for a while. So then here's Gina Davis. Did you see that? That little girl saw us. It's impossible. No one can see us. That little girl saw us. Okay, because she clearly did see them. So now there's this flyer that falls out of the book, and it's fucking funny. It goes, having problems with the living, call Beetle. He pronounces it Beetlejuice because it's not spelled like this. It was spelled Betelguise, Beetlejuice. Call Beetlejuice. Okay, call Beetlejuice. Bioexorcist. Beetlejuice. I don't get it. he wasn't getting it. So, and then there's all these clues, like he'd pop up on the TV and have his advertisement on there saying, doing his pitch, and and then they look in the book because now they're back up in the attic. They've moved in, and then there's this what the hell was his name? Ortho. I think his name's Ortho. He's this interior decorator slash fortune teller. I don't think fortune teller is the right word though. Seer. They called seers? Seers are mediums. That's it. I think it's called mediums. Seers are mediums. He's one. He's one of those. Okay, cross between. So he's looking around the house, and the little girl's going upstairs with the skeleton key, trying to open it, and she can't get in because they're blocking her. What the hell? That's my phone. Okay, I got something. So anyways, what was I? Oh, so he's, Alec is flipping through the book. Oh, I have an idea. Okay, we need help. Okay, let's. Okay, maybe we should call this Beetle guy. Okay, is what Gina says. Nope, we're not going to do it because here, this is what we're going to do. He takes a piece of chalk, draws a door on the brick wall, and then draws the doorknob, and then he goes, okay. He steps back. Nothing happens. Gina Davis goes, you didn't really expect that to work, did you? Ah, and then he knocks 3 times, and then it opens. They go in there, and then this is when, you know what? I think I got it all wrong, guys. I think Sylvia Sidney might be now. I'm thinking their caseworker. I can't be sure. I just don't know, guys. I'm sorry, but anyways, there she meets the old woman who's their caseworker. I can't remember her name, and in there she explains, the rules. Actually, before they meet that, they're waiting. They're waiting in the reception desk. Not, or the reception. The office. There's a receptionist, and kind of like the waiting area, like in a like when you're gonna go to the dentist or a doctor. And there are a bunch of the dead bodies, and it's great. There's a shrunken head guy. There's there's who is it? Let me think. There's a woman who's cut in half, and then her legs are here, positioned here, and then her upper torso, her bottom, lower torso is there, and then next to her is the upper torso. She's crossed the legs, and she's reading, flipping through the magazine, and Alec, and the faces they make, they're just like, and then Alex is like, and then Gina Davis is, that kind of look. It cracks me. I'm dying of laughter. They're sitting down, and then there's a burnt man, all completely burnt, and he's smoking. What one? And then Alex, no, no, thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to quit. Mm. Trying to quit. He's already dead. And then here's Gina Davis, just like looking at the burnt man, and then leans this way, and then there's a shrunken head man, and then the shrunken head man's just like, and then she's just like, cracks me up. You have to see it. I was dying of laughter. Okay, and so anyway, she might. Oh, and then on their way to meeting the caseworker, there's a like this the I guess a corpse ghost of a flat guy. I guess he got run over by a car, and he's gliding across on this like a clothesline thing. And he goes, "Hey, how do I?" He's wearing a tie and everything. How do I look? Alec Baldwin's like, You look great. You look fine. You look fine." And then he goes, "Okay, great. I'm trying to get a raise." Something like that. And then he goes through in between the like these like in the walls, like kind of like between the filing thing. It says file, because he fits in between there. He's thin like paper. And then that's when they talk to the caseworker, and she explains the whole thing. When they come back out of it, time has passed yet again. Um, and it's just great because the whole thing is now they want to try to get them out of there, and they're trying to learn the ropes of trying to scare them, because their first attempt when they're trying to scare them, it didn't work. Like Gina Davis is posing as like she's hanging in the closet, and then the next room, Alec Baldwin has his head off, and then Gina Davis is holding holding a knife like that, and they just can't see it. So yeah, so I really really like this film. Um, the thing is too, Lydia is the only one that could see them for some odd reason, because they say in the book, they say that only the strange and unusual may see the dead. Well, I myself am strange and unusual. So that's the reasoning behind that. I don't want to go more into it, because you have to discover it for yourself. But let's just say there's a scene that cracked me up. Also, also in the dinner party, and they want to try to foil the dinner. So it causes them to sing "Te Usete," okay, and the Belafonte song, and they start going through the dances, and I was just cracking up, because they're involuntarily singing this. And then the last thing, the hands come out of the bowl. It looks like a lobster hand and grabs them. It didn't scare them. As a matter of fact, it kind of like piqued their interest, and they now want to think that they can make it like a sideshow attraction and make money that way. The wife is some kind of art dealer, and Beetlejuice eventually gets involved because they feel as if they can't resort, it's not working what they're doing, so they say his name 3 times, Beetlejuice, 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 and then they get sucked into the model. I think the first time they turn him down, and then they're in a model, and then they have to dig him out, and then they he's being crazy as he Beetlejuice, how he is. He's very goofy. Um, I like, can you be scared? I'm not gonna do it. I just can't remember the lines. It's gonna come off bad. I know I can get him down if I really take the time to do impressions of Beetlejuice. But you want to know if I can be scary? Okay, how's this? And then he does the thing. You don't see it, and then they hold themselves, and there's Alec and Gina, they hold themselves because they're scared. Because yeah, okay, that'll do. And then point is, they don't want his help, so they say home, 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 and then they're back out of it. And then Beetlejuice is mad, and then it's kind of cool. She picks up Beetlejuice, Gina does, and then he has all these spikes come out of him, and it pricks her fingers and causes drops him. And then a whorehouse pops up, and then he goes in there. It was a distraction because a caseworker wants to talk to them and say that, you know what, you don't want this guy's help. You guys are fucking up, and yeah, just don't rely on this guy. There was a history behind Beetlejuice. So yeah, you don't really see Beetlejuice all too much. Just like a few times, like near the middle, like the beginning, and then really in the middle of the film, and then again in the end, really. Yeah, so I really, really loved it. Okay, so now I thought I would change tones here, and this is the very first time I saw this one, Dario Argento's The Stendhal Syndrome. And this one is, it stars, I think, she plays Anna, which is Asia Argento. She's absolutely gorgeous. This is a slasher, and Thomas Kretschmann, I think that's his name, Kretschmann? Thomas Kretschmann. Okay, he was the bad guy in Wanted. He was also the bad one in Next and various other films. So she's this detective. Mind you, this is taking place in Italy. Now here's the thing. I've never been to Italy. Now I know this is an old film, like got to be like in the 80s, I'm sure. And when you look at these things, I love my throwback films. Like Beetlejuice is one example, but things like watching, like the Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Streets, classic films where you get to see how, old school horror, how things were in the 80s, kind of transporting you back, or to a time that just doesn't exist anymore, back in the 80s. Well, when you're looking at this, I can't tell if this is just the way it looked like in the 80s or if this is just what it looks like over there in Italy, okay? Because I've never been there, so it's kind of cool, I can tell it's old, but I'm just not sure, okay? So she goes into this art museum, and she starts looking at the paintings, and very cool special effects, because whenever she starts tripping out, when she's looking at the paintings, she kind of sees herself being transported into the painting, or she sees them moving, and just starts hallucinating and stuff like that. So she passes out, knocks her head on the table, cracks her lip. Now Thomas Kretschmann comes and helps her out, and walks her home with seemingly good intentions. Next thing you know, he's raping her in the bed, and he's a sick man, this guy, okay? This guy says, when I saw your lip bleeding like that, it really turned me on and excited me. I wanted to kiss those bloody lips. Something to that effect. He has a razor in his mouth. Yeah. And he's like, flipping it in his mouth, and takes it out, and then cuts her lip open again, reopens the wound. You can't be sure if this is for real, if she's just imagining this, or if this is for real. And then he begins raping her. And then she passes out. She wakes up in the car. Now she wakes up to another woman being raped. And, it's Thomas Kretschmann raping her also. And she's confused and, really appalled. And then kind of really cool scene here, though, even, of course, against rape, but very, very cool effects, what they did. Ahead of its time, I got to tell you. He takes his pistol and puts it about this distance to the woman's cheek, and she's screaming, and you see it. He pulls the trigger, and the bullet moves in slow motion. Very, very awesomely done, ahead of its time. And you see it pierce the skin under her cheek into her mouth. It zooms into her mouth. It does like an x-ray thing, so it's like you're zoomed inside her mouth, and you see, you're really in her mouth, and you see the bullet pass through in her mouth. Literally, you see kind of like the thing in the mouth where, I don't know what you call it, the thing that hangs at the back of your throat like a boxer, like a speed bag in boxing, that thing that hangs in the back, you see that, and it passes through in her mouth and out her other cheek, and then it, goes through. And then Anna starts screaming, and blood splashes on her face. She starts screaming, because she's on the opposite side. And then Thomas Kretschmann, with the holes, one cheek, other cheek, and here's the inside of her mouth. You see his eyeball look into it like that. He's looking through the wound and through to her cheek. But very, very cool effect how they did that. I like that, and there's a couple other scenes where it showed the slow motion. Like one scene where it showed the bullet pass through, and you see the reflection of Thomas Kretschmann's face in the bullet when it's going in slow motion. I like that. So she gets out of it. She manages to escape, and runs to the cops. They test her for HIV and all the regular things you do, and then put her under protection. She moves away out of the city to be closer with her family. Thomas Kretschmann is still killing and murdering, and let's see here. She moves back to. She feels as if there's something she needs to deal with, and eventually she gets abducted again, and something happens that I do not want to spoil, because I don't want to spoil it, but I really, really love this one. What's cool is the beginning part. It starts off like a slasher type thriller, and then kind of changes tones a little bit past the midway mark. It is about an hour and 18 minutes, like I said, when the movie's about 2 hours long, an hour and 56 minutes long. About an hour and 18 minutes into it is where she changes up her look. She changes up one time by after the first rape, and cuts her hair short, so it's like really, really short, and very, very. Asia Argento is one of the absolute most beautiful girls I have ever seen, honestly. And she cuts it short. She can have any kind of hairstyle, and she looks gorgeous. So it's short, okay? And then the next time she changes it is when it's blonde, and she's frequently seeing the psychiatrist. By the way, too, I can't believe I forgot to say this, but the psychiatrist early on in the film tells her that you have a problem called the Stendhal Syndrome. The reason why it's called that is there's a man named Stendhal where he suffered the same affliction, where whenever you start seeing like fine art, you start tripping. You see it moving, and like you're almost going into it. There are some hallucinations where if there's like a waterfall, it opens up like a portal thing, and then she actually steps into it. Ahead of its time, guys. That effects. I mean, great stuff. There's a beautiful scene here. As a matter of fact, you can kind of see it right here, partially. See how Asia Argento is covered in paint like that? Is that right here in the back? Yeah, and you kind of see it over here. I don't know if you can make that out too well, but she covers her whole body in paint. I don't know if it's real or hallucination again, but it doesn't really matter. Just she looks herself like a work of art. Yeah. So anyways, so the doctor explains to her that, that's why it's called the Stendhal Syndrome. So anyways, it was about an hour and 18 minutes where she's visiting her doctor again. This time she changes up her looks again for like a third time, and wears a blonde wig this time around. And that's at that point where, like I said, I turned it off for a while. I felt my eyelids getting just so sleepy. I don't know. I couldn't stand it. So, there were 40 minutes left on the film. So I slept for about a couple hours. At 11:30 is when I fell asleep. Woke up at about 1 a.m. in the morning and finished the rest of the film. That last like 40 minutes, it kind of changes tone to almost like a Hitchcockian type film, with this like same thing, kind of like a Hitchcock type twist to it. Really, really like that about the film. So it does kind of change tone from like a slasher to like a Hitchcockian type film. Okay, so let me go ahead and read the back here. Yeah, so really, really loved it. Gorgeous Yours starlet Asia Argento from Triple X, okay, the girlfriend, I believe, of Vin Diesel. She was also in Land of the Dead too, which I really loved. Grows weak and is stripped naked in the presence of beauty and is grueling giallo from genre master and daddy Dario Argento. You do see her left breast in the first rape. It's not really an attractive scene because she's being raped, but you do see it, just to give you guys a heads up so you guys know. But all in all, I don't think really a lot of nudity. A young police officer who suffers from a rare form of hallucinatory disorder which causes her to black out when looking at works of art. Finds herself in the custody of the sadistic murderer she has been sent to apprehend after he uses her affliction to ensnare her. Can Anna summon enough strength and courage to escape his clutches and stop him once and for all? The Stendhal Syndrome is a hyper-stylized thriller that stands as Argento's cruelest film and is now presented here uncut and uncensored. Special features here, we have reversible sleeve, we have exclusive collector's booklet, the complete Dario Argento trailer gallery, and that's really it. It's, doesn't really have a whole lot in the ways of special features. And the booklet, the disc is in the player still, so yeah. Oops. Okay, here we go. I don't believe they're really... I think there's some features on here, but I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure what features are on the Beetlejuice. But anyways, let's get down to the PQ, AQ, and my final score. For the PQ on Beetlejuice is pretty good. Same thing with the sound, like I said, though. Good, very good, and just nothing that would absolutely knock your socks off or anything. And Stendhal Syndrome had pretty good picture quality and sound quality as well. So yeah, decent. Although, one thing of note, I don't think this one had... It did have subtitles, but there are just a few moments where, just for like a minute or two, it cuts to where they're speaking in Italian, and then they break into Italian for some reason, but that's just typical of these giallos and, like Dario Argento and Fulci and stuff like that. They tend to do that. So yeah, that's really the only thing. So let's see, Beetlejuice. God, can I find out how long it runs? It doesn't tell me. Well, Beetlejuice was in '88. Oh, here, it does tell me. 92 minutes, and it's PG. Stendhal Syndrome. Let's see, can it give me an exact year? I can't find a year, guys, but the runtime is 118 minutes. Yeah, English and Italian, and subtitles in English. So Beetlejuice, okay. Beetlejuice is an absolute classic, and I would give it 4 stars. I absolutely love this film. So yeah, the songs, the soundtracks, the acting, great stuff. Stendhal Syndrome, equally love this film, guys. You know what? The fuck with it. I'm gonna give the Stendhal Syndrome also 4 stars out of 5. So both these films, does that sound fair? Yeah, for me it does. Me personally, I would give both films 4 stars, and I do highly recommend that you check these 2 films out. So there we go. There's my review. I'm gonna also upload this onto the Horror Globe. Please give us all a sub. And if you like this review and you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button as well. And I have to still download that chat program that you told me about, Josh, our Montrix Alpha, and then we can do our double build review. So thank you guys for watching, and farewell.